Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Before we dive in, I have a question for you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments below. Now, let's get real for a moment. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted the most? Have you or someone you know ever caught a wife cheating? How did it happen? How did it end? Share your story in the comments. We want to hear your experiences. Because today, we're uncovering the shocking truths behind infidelity, real-life betrayals, and the signs you should never ignore. So sit tight and let's get started. It all began long before that fateful night in Nashville. My journey to that moment was shaped by years of seemingly ordinary yet pivotal events that led me right to Sarah. Looking back, it's almost as if the universe had been meticulously arranging the pieces of my life, preparing me for the collision that would change everything. During my sophomore year of college, I took a summer internship at a financial consultancy firm in downtown Atlanta. It was my first real taste of the corporate world, and I was eager to prove myself. Among the many faces I met, there was one that stood out. David Whitman, a seasoned accountant with a sharp wit and a reputation for mentoring young professionals. He took me under his wing, pushing me to refine my skills and navigate the nuances of financial strategy. Those months were transformative. I soaked up knowledge, honed my analytical abilities, and most importantly, learned the value of discipline and integrity. Little did I know that my time under David's guidance would lay the foundation for the career that would later shape my entire life. The internship ended, and I returned to college, more focused than ever. My senior year was a whirlwind of exams, late-night study sessions, and job applications. I had my sights set on a prestigious firm in Atlanta, but fate had other plans. One evening, a close friend convinced me to join him for a night out, one final celebration before graduation. I hesitated at first, but something told me to say yes. And so, I found myself in a lively club in Nashville, completely unaware that my life was about to change forever. The first time I saw Sarah was during my senior year of college. I had gone out with friends for a casual night when fate intervened in the most unexpected way. Sarah was celebrating her 21st birthday at a lively club in Nashville, and in a clumsy moment, I accidentally ran into her, sending my drink splashing onto her dress. Embarrassed, I quickly apologized and tried to help her clean up. What started as an awkward mishap turned into an effortless conversation. Some might call it fate, others serendipity, but whatever it was, there was an undeniable energy between us. From that night on, we were inseparable. 1 year later, we exchanged vows and began our journey as husband and wife. I'm Jonathan Parks, though most people just call me Johnny. I studied accounting and eventually became a certified public accountant. After graduating, I landed a job at a well-established firm in Atlanta, where Sarah and I decided to settle down, close to our families. Over time, I gained enough experience and confidence to start my own accounting firm. Sarah, who had a background in business administration, stood by my side and supported me through the early challenges of building a business. She was my rock, handling things behind the scenes until life took an exciting turn. She became pregnant with our beautiful daughter, Angel. Our marriage was built on deep love and unwavering companionship. We adored each other and cherished every moment together. When Angel arrived, she became the center of our world, an extension of the love we already shared. For the next decade, we lived a fulfilling and stable family life. I dedicated myself to expanding my business, while Sarah took on the role of homemaker, ensuring Angel had a nurturing and loving upbringing. Our marriage thrived both emotionally and physically. We were affectionate, connected, and completely in sync. Closeness was a natural part of our bond. And though we never ventured into anything too adventurous, our connection remained strong. Sarah had her preferences, and I respected them, never wanting to push her beyond her comfort zone. Our life together was fulfilling, and I felt truly fortunate to have her by my side. One of the things I loved most about Sarah was her affectionate nature. From the moment we said "I do," she was never one to shy away from showing love, holding my hand, hugging me for no reason, or planting soft kisses on my cheek. The closeness we shared wasn't just physical, it was emotional too. Our friends often joked that our honeymoon phase would eventually wear off, but a decade later we still proved them wrong. When Angel turned 10, Sarah expressed a desire to return to work. Now that Angel has a steady schedule and gets home from school at the same time every day, I don't want to just sit around the house anymore. I miss working, she admitted one evening. After several discussions, we worked out a plan to make sure Angel still had all the attention she needed. Sarah soon landed a job as a personal assistant to William Aston, a lawyer 10 years her senior. The role was a great fit for her. She had real responsibilities, and it reignited her confidence. She was no longer just a stay-at-home mom. She had reclaimed her professional identity while still being a devoted mother. I could see how much she loved her job, and I fully supported her. She always made it home in time for Angel, ensuring our daughter's life remained stable. As the years went by, our family life only strengthened. We were financially secure, lived in a beautiful apartment complex, and even enjoyed the perks of a country club membership. We had no real struggles. We were healthy, happy, and had saved enough to ensure a bright future for Angel. Life was good. Naturally, as time passed, certain aspects of our relationship evolved. Like most couples, our closeness became less frequent than in our early years. What had once been 3 or 4 nights a week gradually settled into a comfortable routine of twice a week, usually on weekends. We weren't reckless or overly adventurous, but we remained close. And Sarah's constant affection meant more to me than anything. It wasn't just about the physical connection. It was the way she would reach for my hand, kiss me when I least expected it, or lean into me with a loving embrace. Those small moments were the foundation of our marriage, and I treasured every one of them. As Angel entered her teenage years, she became more involved in school activities, joining the math club and staying late a few evenings a week. Around the same time, Sarah's job also began requiring her to work late twice a week, which actually aligned well with Angel's schedule. We made sure she was never left alone, carefully balancing our routines. Sarah's boss, William, received a major promotion, becoming a senior partner at his father-in-law's law firm. With his new responsibilities, Sarah's workload increased slightly, requiring her to stay at the office later on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She was always home by 7 p.m., and I made it a point to have dinner ready for her on those nights. Aside from this minor change, nothing in our marriage felt different. My accounting firm had grown substantially, now employing 45 people, and had even caught the attention of larger firms interested in mergers. Angel, now 15, had started thinking about college. Sarah, meanwhile, was thriving in her career and still as stunning as ever. The years had only enhanced her beauty. Her slim figure, long legs, and effortless elegance remained unchanged. Though she always carried herself with a polished and professional demeanor, to me, she was as radiant as the day we met. Our lives might have seemed predictable to some, but we were genuinely happy. We spent most of our free time together as a family, whether watching movies, attending Angel's school events, or simply enjoying each other's company. Unlike many couples, we never felt the need for separate activities. We preferred being together. One day, I received a call from William. "Jonathan, I wanted to personally invite you and Angel to a banquet next month. Sarah is receiving an award for excellence in her field." I was caught off guard, but incredibly proud. "Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea. She works so hard. She truly deserves it." "It's a surprise," William added, "so please don't mention it to her just yet." When I shared the news with Angel, her face lit up. "Mom's getting an award? That's so awesome. She deserves it more than anyone." I completely agreed, but we kept the secret as William requested. Over the past 5 years, Sarah had poured her heart into her job, and it had paid off. While I always knew she was dedicated, this award made me realize just how much she had accomplished. Angel and I couldn't have been prouder. One evening, Sarah casually mentioned an important work event on her schedule. "I'll be staying late to finalize a presentation for the entire company," she explained. "It's being held at the Ritz-Carlton downtown, and I want everything to be absolutely perfect." She was excited and spent weeks meticulously preparing, determined to make a great impression and ensure the event's success. At that point, Sarah had no idea about the surprise that awaited her. She didn't know that Angel and I had been invited or that she was about to receive a prestigious award. We were eager for the big night, anticipating the joy on her face. To mark the occasion, I took Angel shopping for a beautiful dress and picked out a new suit for myself, wanting to make sure Sarah would be proud to have us there. On the evening of the ceremony, Sarah dressed elegantly in a fitted knee-length dress with a subtle, open-back design, sophisticated yet flattering. At 37, she still carried herself with confidence and grace, effortlessly captivating attention. Just before the limousine arrived, Angel and I embraced her warmly. "You're going to do amazing, Mom," Angel said with excitement. "You'll be great," I added, pressing a kiss to her cheek. Once she left, Angel and I had 2 hours to prepare. We got ready without rushing, ensuring everything was just right before heading to the venue. Upon arrival, a host welcomed us and escorted us to a prime table in the center of the room, offering an unobstructed view of the stage. Colleagues and guests spoke highly of Sarah, eager to meet us and express their admiration for her. Their words filled us with pride, reinforcing how much she had accomplished. As the room dimmed, the stage lights brightened. The first speaker introduced the company's founder and CEO before inviting William, the senior partner, to speak. He briefly discussed the firm's growth and achievements before calling Sarah to the stage to present the company's yearly milestones and future goals. Sarah stepped into the spotlight, poised and radiant. I glanced at Angel, who beamed with pride as she watched her mother command the room. With a confident and professional tone, Sarah highlighted the company's accomplishments and shared its vision for the future. She spoke with clarity and conviction for about 10 minutes before concluding her presentation and preparing to step down. But before she could leave, William gently took her hand and stopped her. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "before Sarah takes her seat, I'd like to say a few words. Over the past 5 years, she has been more than just a colleague. She has been a driving force behind our success. Her dedication, intelligence, and unwavering commitment have made an incredible impact on this firm. It is my honor to present her with our highest distinction, the Chairman's Club Award." The audience erupted in applause as William handed Sarah a beautifully crafted plaque and an envelope containing a $10,000 bonus. Emotion welled up in her eyes as she accepted the award, embracing William briefly before turning to acknowledge the cheering crowd. Angel and I clapped enthusiastically, our hearts swelling with pride. People at our table congratulated me, sharing in the joyous moment. It was one of those rare, unforgettable nights, one filled with admiration and happiness. As the ceremony took a brief intermission, I decided to grab a drink. "Angel, I'll be right back," I told her, making my way toward the bar at the far end of the room. The lines were long, so I spotted a smaller, less crowded bar near the stage and headed there instead. Feeling content and in high spirits, I ordered a double jack for myself and a soda for Angel. After placing a tip in the jar, I picked up the drinks and turned to make my way back. And then, in an instant, my entire world shattered. A movement in my peripheral vision caught my attention. I turned instinctively, and what I saw made my stomach drop. Behind the stage curtain, in a dimly lit corner where they likely thought no one could see, 2 figures stood locked in an intimate embrace. At first, I dismissed it as an inappropriate display for a formal event, but then my chest tightened. The dress, I recognized it instantly. It was Sarah. I froze, unable to process what I was seeing. She was kissing someone, deeply, passionately. Her arms looped around his neck while his hands rested firmly on her lower back, his touch unmistakably familiar. This wasn't a fleeting, accidental moment. This was deliberate. This was practiced. I stood motionless, my body rigid, my mind racing. They clearly believed they were hidden, shielded from prying eyes. But from my vantage point, the truth was undeniable. Then, as if the universe wanted to drive the dagger even deeper, they pulled apart. The man's face came into view. It was William. My grip on the drinks tightened. My pulse pounded in my ears. The world around me blurred, yet my focus remained locked on the scene in front of me. My hand trembled, and one of the glasses slipped from my grasp, shattering against the polished floor. The sharp sound cut through the noise of the room. Sarah's eyes darted toward me. The instant she saw me, her expression crumbled. Her face turned pale, panic flashing across her features. William quickly stepped back, but it was too late. The damage had been done. For a brief moment, I felt as if I were outside my own body, observing a nightmare that didn't belong to me. But reality came crashing back. A tidal wave of pain, betrayal, and disbelief surged through me, suffocating and inescapable. I turned and walked away. My movements were stiff, mechanical. I didn't know where I was going, only that I needed to get out of there. Sarah's voice followed me, urgent and desperate. "Honey, I just found out you and Angel are here for the awards ceremony. Thank you for coming," she said quickly, her words rushed, as if trying to regain control. "Honey, what you just saw, it's not what it looked like." Her voice wavered. "We'll talk later, okay?" I didn't answer. I barely acknowledged her. I just gave a small, numb nod and kept moving. Back at our table, guests continued to celebrate, unaware of the storm brewing inside me. Angel, oblivious to what had just unfolded, wrapped Sarah in a proud hug. "Mom, I'm so proud of you!" she exclaimed with genuine excitement. I sat in silence, staring at nothing, my face unreadable. My entire world had just imploded, but no one around me knew. Sarah excused herself, claiming she had a few more things to take care of before rejoining us. Angel, ever perceptive, turned to me with concern. "Dad, are you okay?" she asked softly. I forced myself to respond, though the words felt foreign in my mouth. "It's nothing," I murmured. But it wasn't nothing. It was everything. What I had just witnessed was undeniable. It hadn't been a simple, accidental kiss. It had been intimate, passionate, something I hadn't shared with Sarah in years. Not since... My mind reeled, piecing together the missed signs, the late nights, the growing distance, the subtle but undeniable shifts in our relationship. Had I really been so blind all this time? The rest of the night passed in a haze. Everything around me felt distant, muffled, as if I were watching my own life from behind a thick pane of glass. When the banquet ended, we headed home. Sarah and Angel were full of excitement, chatting about the night, laughing over little moments that had made it special. Meanwhile, I sat behind the wheel, silent and detached, my hands gripping the steering wheel as my thoughts spiraled. Angel noticed first. She tried to engage me in conversation, asking me questions, but I barely responded. Sarah, on the other hand, knew exactly why I was withdrawn. She had seen my face back at the event. She had felt the weight of my stare, and now she was desperately trying to make things feel normal, reaching for my hand, brushing her fingers over my arm in a way that once would have softened me. But I wasn't falling for it. I kept my composure for Angel's sake, but she was perceptive, too perceptive. As we arrived home and she got ready for bed, she lingered near me. Then in a quiet whisper she said, "Dad, if you ever need to talk, I'm here, okay?" She wrapped her arms around me in a tight hug, pressing a kiss to my cheek before disappearing into her room. I went straight to bed, still unable to find the words to express the storm raging inside me. Moments later, I heard Sarah enter. "Johnny," she murmured, her voice cautious. "Are you okay, baby?" Silence. After a minute, she tried again. "Darling, please, can we talk?" I could hear the anxiety in her voice, the way she was carefully choosing her words. Then I felt the bed shift as she climbed in beside me. Tentatively, she reached out, her fingertips grazing my arm. I immediately turned away from her. "Look, I know how that must have looked," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "And I'm so sorry, but I swear it's not what you think. Please, Johnny, just talk to me." Lying there, staring at the dark wall in front of me, I felt the anger start to seep through the numbness. At first, I had been too stunned to react, too blindsided to process it fully. But now the pain was turning into something else, something sharper. She tried to wrap her arms around me, but I stayed rigid, refusing to acknowledge her touch. I closed my eyes, hoping sleep would come and give me an escape. But when I finally drifted off, my dreams were filled with torment, replaying the image of her in William's arms over and over again. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the blinds, but instead of feeling warmth, all I felt was an overwhelming sense of emptiness. I had woken up hoping for just a split second that it had all been a nightmare, but reality was far worse. The image of Sarah and William together haunted me, playing in a relentless loop in my head. Dragging myself out of bed, I headed to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face before brushing my teeth. When I stepped back into the bedroom, Sarah was sitting on the bed, watching me carefully. She was trying to act normal, as if nothing had changed. "Good morning, honey," she said, forcing a smile. "Did you sleep well?" I didn't even look at her. Instead, I grabbed a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and started getting dressed, my movements slow and deliberate. Then, for the first time since the night before, I turned to face her. My voice was low, edged with a fury I was barely containing. "How long?" The forced smile disappeared instantly. Sarah's eyes dropped to her hands, her fingers twisting together in her lap. She didn't answer. And that silence, that was all I needed to know. Without another word, I walked out of the room, heading straight to the kitchen. I needed space. I needed air. I needed a moment to think without the suffocating presence of her lies in the same room as me. My thoughts were a whirlwind. This was going to change everything. I had no idea what she would say to justify this, but I knew one thing. She couldn't lie her way out of it. If she did, I would find out the truth on my own. Up until last night, I would have sworn on my life that Sarah had been faithful. There had been no obvious distance, no sudden lack of closeness. She still kissed me, held me, touched me just like always. So how could this be real? How could she pretend to love me while secretly giving herself to someone else? And worst of all, had this been happening for years? A deep, suffocating realization settled in my chest. Oh my God. My entire world had just crumbled and there was no going back.
It was a terrible mistake. One I could never take back. William had always understood the importance of discretion, yet tonight he had thrown caution to the wind and kissed me, right there, out in the open. I should have stopped him. I should have reminded him of the rules we had set, the boundaries we swore to never cross. But instead, I let it happen. Worse, I enjoyed it. His touch, the heat of the moment, the thrill of being wanted, it all consumed me. But now, reality had come crashing down. Johnny had seen everything, and there was no way I could talk my way out of this. He wasn't a fool. No excuse would be enough. My mind raced back to how it all started. It had been a year after I began working as William's assistant. He was overwhelmed, drowning in the demands of both work and home. His marriage was crumbling under the weight of 6 young children, including a set of twins that left his wife exhausted. He confided in me, unloading his frustrations, his loneliness, his need for connection. At first, I was simply a shoulder to lean on, a friend who listened without judgment. But then, something shifted. I started feeling special, important. I was the one he turned to, the one who understood him. One evening, after a particularly rough day, I hugged him in comfort. That simple embrace changed everything. In that moment, an invisible line was crossed. The tension between us became undeniable, and before I knew it, we were kissing. And then we weren't just kissing. It happened on the leather couch in his office, fast, reckless, intoxicating. And when it was over, guilt consumed me. I had betrayed Johnny. I wanted to confess, to tell him everything, but the moment I walked through the door of our home, he and Angel greeted me with love and warmth, completely unaware that I was no longer the woman they thought I was. So I buried the truth. William and I swore it would never happen again. We convinced ourselves that it had been a mistake, a moment of weakness, but we were lying to ourselves. A few weeks later, we were back in each other's arms, and this time we didn't bother pretending it wouldn't happen again. I had no logical reason to cheat. Johnny was everything a woman could ask for. Kind, devoted, a wonderful husband and father. I loved him. I still do. But with William, it was something different. He wasn't conventionally attractive. He wasn't as handsome as Johnny. He was older, heavier, bald. And yet, when I was with him, none of that mattered. He made me feel small and desired, both fragile and powerful in ways I had never experienced before. Johnny never suspected a thing. He trusted me implicitly. He respected William and saw him as a professional mentor, not a threat. And that blind trust made it easy to continue. If I stayed late at the office, Johnny never questioned it. If William and I disappeared behind closed doors, no one thought twice. The first time we slept together, I was shocked by how different it was. William was rough, demanding, unfiltered in a way Johnny never had been. He pushed me to places I hadn't dared explore before. And I liked it. At first, I convinced myself that it was just physical, that it meant nothing. But over time, the lines blurred. We weren't just having an affair. We had become something more. It was a strange paradox. I still loved Johnny, but I also couldn't resist what I had with William. Strangely, I told myself I was helping William's marriage. He became more patient at home, more present with his wife and kids. And because I convinced myself that I was making his life better, I justified our affair. I told myself that no one was getting hurt. When William was promoted, our routine shifted. Twice a week we worked late, just the two of us. Those nights became ours, a secret world separate from reality. We made a pact. Our relationship would never go beyond those hours. No secret meetings outside of work, no personal phone calls, no emotional entanglements, just 2 nights a week, hidden behind the walls of his office. And for 3 years, we kept it that way. Twice a week, I belonged to William, and the rest of the time, I was Johnny's devoted wife. I somehow managed to keep my 2 lives separate. I was still affectionate with Johnny, still attentive, still the mother Angel had always known. I never let my affair affect our family life, but with William, it was different. He unlocked something in me I hadn't known existed. He made me feel things I had never felt before. He introduced me to desires I hadn't even realized I had. And the worst part, I wanted it. Sex with Johnny was loving and tender, the foundation of our marriage. With William, it was raw, unrestrained, a world apart. I'd convinced myself that I was in control, that I could love Johnny and still crave what I had with William. I never thought about the consequences. I never considered what would happen if my perfect illusion shattered. And now, it had. Johnny knew. That morning, as he stood in our bedroom, his expression was unreadable. His voice was quiet but sharp, laced with a rage I had never heard before. "How long?" The weight of that question crushed me. My mouth opened, but no words came. I couldn't bring myself to lie, but I also couldn't tell him the truth, because the truth would destroy everything. I watched him walk away without another word, his footsteps heavy with the weight of betrayal. My heart pounded as I sat on the bed, hands shaking. How could I make him understand? How could I convince him that despite everything, I still loved him? I had spent the last 3 years living in 2 worlds. But now, those worlds had collided, and the life I had so carefully built was about to come crashing down.
I glanced at the clock and realized Angel had to be at school for math club by 1 p.m. There was no avoiding it. I had to face reality. My mind was still spinning as I drove home, replaying everything that had unfolded. When I arrived, I found Sarah sitting on the patio, a cup of coffee in hand, gazing out at the lake as if she could disappear into the view. Saying nothing, I walked into the kitchen, poured myself a cup, then stepped outside to sit beside her. The silence between us stretched, heavy and suffocating. Then I asked once again the question that refused to leave my mind. "How long?" She didn't answer right away. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Instead, silent tears began rolling down her cheeks. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she whispered, 3 years. A chill ran through me, and my stomach twisted painfully. The betrayal I had tried to suppress hit me like a freight train all over again. She wiped at her face, barely able to look at me. "It only happened on the nights I worked late," she said, her voice breaking. My fingers clenched around my coffee cup, my jaw tightened. "So let me get this straight," I said, my voice eerily calm. "For 3 years, twice a week, you've been sleeping with your boss?" Sarah nodded, her head hanging in shame. "Yes, only those nights. Never anywhere else. I have so much to explain if you'd just let me." I let out a bitter laugh, shaking my head. "Explain?" I scoffed. "Sarah, do you even realize what you're saying? That's over 300 nights, and I know you. We both know it wasn't just once per night." My throat tightened as I forced myself to continue. "So what, 500 times? More?" She sobbed quietly, her hands trembling in her lap. I exhaled sharply. The more I thought about it, the worse it got. "You must have had so much fun laughing at me," I muttered, my tone laced with bitterness. "The clueless husband sitting at home thinking you were just working late." "Tell me, Sarah, did he make fun of me while screwing my wife? Did you two joke about how easy it was to lie to me?" She shook her head furiously. "No, Johnny, it wasn't like that." I cut her off with a sharp glare. "It was. Don't insult me by pretending otherwise." Pushing my chair back, I stood abruptly, the wood scraping against the patio. Sarah reached out, but I jerked away from her touch. She begged me to stay, her words choked with emotion, but I couldn't. I needed space. I needed to breathe before I said something I wouldn't be able to take back. The betrayal felt suffocating, a weight pressing down on me with every step I took away from her. I needed to talk to someone who wouldn't feed me cliches about forgiveness or looking past it. Only one person came to mind. My brother, Tony. We had been close as kids, but life had taken us down very different roads. Tony had spent 5 years in federal prison for pill trafficking, surrounded by criminals and danger. I was the opposite, an accountant, a family man, someone who never broke a law in his life. We didn't talk often anymore, but growing up, I had always been the one Tony turned to for advice. This time, I was the one who needed him. I pulled out my phone and dialed his number. "Hello? It's me," I said, my voice heavy. "Johnny, man, how the hell are you?" I hesitated. "I've been better. I need to talk." "You got time?" His tone shifted immediately. "Yeah, of course. What's going on?" I hesitated, then the words came rushing out. "Sarah's been cheating on me for 3 years. I just found out last night." I swallowed hard. I feel like I've been sucker punched. I could start drinking, but it wouldn't change anything. I just needed to say it out loud to someone. There was a long pause on the other end before Tony spoke again, his voice lower, more controlled. "Damn, man. I can't believe it. I always liked Sarah," he exhaled sharply. "Who was it?" "Her boss." My jaw clenched. "She admitted it's been going on for 3 years. I ran a hand over my face. "Tony, I swear to God, I want to destroy this guy. I want to strangle her. Tony's voice turned serious. Listen to me, Johnny. I know you're drowning in anger right now, and I don't blame you. But you can't let it consume you. Go to the gym, take a run, hell, break something if you need to, but don't lose control. His voice softened. Get the facts. Stay level-headed. Don't let this define you. Call me tomorrow and we'll talk, okay? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Yeah, thanks, Tony. I appreciate it. On the drive home, I spotted a mattress store and suddenly knew what my next move had to be. I wasn't leaving the marriage. Not yet. Angel had 2 years left before college, and I wasn't going to destroy her world overnight. But that didn't mean I had to share a bed with Sarah ever again. I pulled into the parking lot and walked inside. A salesman greeted me. I'll pay full price if you can deliver 2 full-size beds today and set them up, I said without hesitation. He blinked but nodded. We can make that happen. Anything else? Yeah, I said, my voice like steel. I want my king-size bed gone. Take it apart today, I don't care what it costs. By 4 p.m., the new beds would be delivered, the first real step in reclaiming my space. I texted Angel and told her I'd pick her up from school. When she climbed into the car, I took her out for lunch, knowing I had to prepare her for what was coming. Halfway through the meal, she put down her fork and looked at me intently. Dad, I know something happened last night. I'm not stupid. Please don't shut me out. It's not fair. You've always been honest with me. I sighed, rubbing my temples. You're right. You deserve the truth. But it won't be easy to hear. She straightened her shoulders. Tell me. I met her eyes. I caught your mother and her boss kissing backstage. Angel's face scrunched in confusion. Dad, maybe he was just congratulating her? You can't be this upset over a kiss. I shook my head. After I confronted her, she admitted it's been an affair for 3 years. Angel's face paled, her expression crumbling. 3 years? Her voice was barely a whisper. Yes. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked up her drink, but didn't take a sip. Are you getting divorced? Not yet, I admitted. I'm still figuring things out. We're staying married for now, but things are going to change. Angel, I need you to be strong, okay? Don't take sides. She's still your mother and she loves you. This isn't your burden to carry. It's between me and her. I reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. You've been the best part of our lives, and I won't let this change that for you. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, I understand, Dad. I know this must hurt so much. I forced a small smile, even though my heart was breaking. We'll get through it. She nodded, wiping her tears away. I only wished I could say the same for myself. Life in our house was about to change forever, and there was no turning back. When we walked through the front door, Sarah's expression shifted the moment she saw us together. She wasn't expecting that, but the real impact hit when she noticed the look on Angel's face. Without saying a word, our daughter glared at her, eyes filled with disappointment and anger, before storming off to her room, slamming the door behind her. Sarah turned to me immediately, her voice unsteady. You told her, didn't you? I met her gaze, my voice void of emotion. She's not a child anymore, Sarah. She sensed something was wrong. She deserved the truth. Everything is going to be different now, and she needed to understand why. If you want to tell her your side, you'll have to wait until she's ready to listen. Her eyes widened in panic. What do you mean? Everything is going to be different. You're not thinking about a divorce, are you? If I decide to divorce you, it won't be right now, I replied coldly. Angel has 2 years left before she leaves for college, and I won't let this blow up her world. But let's be clear, starting today, nothing stays the same. Sarah reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Johnny, please, let me explain. You're my husband, and I love you. I let out a bitter laugh, shaking my head. Love? I scoffed. Sarah, you willingly slept with your boss for 3 years, twice a week, every week. That's over 500 times you betrayed me. What part of that sounds like love to you? My jaw clenched. I don't know what excuse you think will make this easier for me to accept. But let me be clear, I'm not that weak. I'm not that naive. Tears spilled from her eyes. It wasn't like that. I cut her off, my voice like steel. It was exactly like that. And do you know what hurts the most? Not the Zex, not the lies. It's that you took away something I cherished. The closeness we had, the way I once looked forward to holding you, kissing you, sharing something real with you. That's gone. I'll never want you like that again. I paused, watching her shatter right in front of me. And just like you broke your vows, I'm done keeping mine. I won't stay faithful to you anymore. I'll start looking for someone else. I have no idea how long it'll take to meet the right person, but when I do, I won't hesitate. Her breath caught in her throat. She staggered back as if I'd slapped her. You can't, she whispered. Johnny, if you start seeing other women, it'll destroy me. She was shaking, her whole body trembling. I won't let this happen. I love you. I stared at her, incredulous. Sarah, you had no problem sneaking around with your boss for 3 years, and now you want to act like you care about consequences? My voice was ice. You made your choice, and now you get to live with the fallout. Before she could respond, the doorbell rang. Right on time. I walked over and let the delivery crew in, leading them toward the bedroom. The bed needs to be taken apart, I instructed. Sarah's voice wavered. Johnny, what's going on? Who are these people? I turned back to her, completely unfazed. Since I have no intention of sharing a bed with you ever again, I figured it was only fair that neither of us got the spare room. So I ordered 2 full-size beds. The king-size one is being removed as we speak. If you don't like the mattress, you have 3 months to pick a new one. Her hands covered her mouth as she choked back a sob. We're going to sleep in separate beds? Of course, I said matter-of-factly. Since there's no closeness left, there's no reason to share a bed anymore. Tears streamed down her face. I can't believe you're doing this. I exhaled sharply. Yeah? Well, I can't believe you slept with another man for 3 years and came home pretending nothing was wrong. I guess neither of us got what we expected. As I stood there, watching the bed, the one we had once shared, the one filled with memories, get dismantled and carried away, I felt a deep ache in my chest, but I refused to let it show. Later that night, I called Tony. My voice was heavy, my emotions barely contained. I can't believe what I just found out, I admitted. Sarah has been sneaking around with her boss for 3 years, twice a week. That's over 500 times she's betrayed me. I must have been the biggest idiot in the world. Tony's tone darkened. Who's the guy? Her boss, I said, my voice tight. William Aston. A long silence followed before Tony finally spoke. And what do you want to do about it? My fingers curled into a fist. I want him to pay. I don't care how, but I want him to suffer. This guy treated my marriage like a joke. He took my wife and sent her home to me, pretending nothing had happened. I can't just let it go. Tony exhaled sharply. And Sarah. She's nothing to me now, I said coldly. I'll divorce her when Angel leaves for college. Until then, she'll live a lonely life because I'm done. If she tries to leave before that, I'll make sure she regrets it. I'll ruin her career, expose her for what she is. Tony let out a low, dark chuckle. I'll take care of William. You just focus on handling things at home. Tony, I warned, my voice sharp, don't do anything reckless. I don't want you getting yourself in trouble over this. Relax, brother, he said smoothly. I know what I'm doing. We'll talk soon. The days that followed were suffocating. Sarah tried to talk to me, tried to apologize, but I gave her nothing. Short, clipped answers. No warmth, no forgiveness. She was desperate for me to show her even the slightest bit of affection, but I couldn't. The betrayal had cut too deep. I threw myself into work, staying out late, making myself scarce on weekends. The house felt like a tomb, silent, heavy with tension. One evening, after a long day, I walked into the bedroom to find Sarah waiting for me. For years, I had fallen asleep beside the woman I loved. Now I lay just a few feet away from her, feeling nothing but emptiness. After a long silence, she spoke softly. Johnny, how was your day? Fine, I replied without emotion. She took a shaky breath. I've been thinking a lot. I know I hurt you. I know you don't want anything to do with me, but I love you, and I want to try, no matter how small, to make things right. She hesitated. Maybe I should quit my job. We don't need the money, and I could be home more. Maybe that would help. Her voice softened. What do you think, baby? The rage that had been simmering under my skin boiled over. I sat up, locking eyes with her. My expression was cold. I don't care what you do. Work, quit, keep screwing your boss. It makes no difference to me. I let my words settle before adding, and don't call me baby or honey. Those words don't mean anything coming from you anymore. My name is Johnny. That's the only thing you'll call me from now on. Her face crumbled. I turned my back on her, lying down without another word. And as I stared at the ceiling, the truth settled over me like a crushing weight. This marriage was over. The only thing left was time. I rolled over, pressing my face into the pillow, trying to shut everything out. But then Sarah started sobbing, soft, broken cries that filled the room. It was the sound of someone finally grasping the depth of the damage they had caused. "Johnny," she choked out between sobs. "You don't have to say anything, just please let me talk." I stayed silent. "I can't even describe how horrible I feel," she continued. "How sorry I am. But I never stopped loving you. Not for a single second. I know you don't believe that, but it's the truth. And the pain I caused you, I see it. In your eyes. In the way you won't even look at me anymore." Her voice trembled. "Not being able to touch you, hold you, kiss you. It's eliminating me. The distance between us feels like a knife in my heart. Yes, I miss being in bed with you, but more than that, I miss you. Your love, your warmth. I don't know how to fix this, but I don't want to lose you, Johnny." I clenched my jaw, still refusing to speak. She sniffled, wiping her tears. "I'll be here when you're ready to talk. If you want to ask me anything, I'll tell you the truth. No more lies." Silence stretched between us. Then her voice wavered. "Johnny, the tension in this house is suffocating. And it's not just us. It's affecting Angel. She barely spends time here anymore. She doesn't want to come home." My stomach tightened. "I thought maybe—" She swallowed hard. "Maybe we could try counseling. Not for us, but for her. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But Angel shouldn't have to live like this. If you can't do it for me, do it for her." She was right. No matter how much I wanted to hold on to my anger, Angel was innocent. She didn't deserve to grow up in a home filled with silence and resentment. I let out a heavy sigh. "Fine, set it up. I'll go." Sarah's head snapped up. "Really? But let me be clear," I said. "I'm doing this for Angel, not for you." Sarah exhaled shakily, her tears now mixed with relief. "Thank you, Johnny. I'll handle everything." True to her word, the next evening she told me she had scheduled a session. She'd meet with the therapist alone first. Our couple's session was set for Friday at 3 p.m. When Angel found out, her face lit up. "Dad, you're really going to counseling?" she asked, hope in her eyes. I nodded. "Yeah." She broke into the first genuine smile I'd seen in weeks and hugged me tightly. "Thank you, Dad. That means everything to me." That night, Sarah looked exhausted after her individual session. When I got home, she was curled up on the couch, eyes swollen from crying. I knew it must have been hard, telling a stranger how she had betrayed her husband and family, but I felt nothing, no sympathy, no compassion. Later that week, my brother Tony called. His voice was steady, but I could tell he had something on his mind. "Listen," he said, "I have some old contacts. They owe me favors, big ones." I tensed. "Tony, what kind of favors?" "The kind that don't involve money," he said, eerily calm. "The cartel, they don't forget debts, Johnny. I never asked them for cash. I asked for favors. And now I'm cashing one in." A wave of unease settled over me. "Tony, what are you saying? You don't need to know. The less you know, the better. Just trust me. Soon you'll be avenged." I exhaled sharply. "Tony, don't do anything reckless." "Reckless?" He chuckled darkly. "No, just effective. William Aston will learn what real pain feels like." I said nothing. Nothing I could say would change his mind. A few nights later, a white van parked outside William Aston's house. A delivery driver knocked on his door just minutes after he got home. By the time it was over, William was still alive. But his life would never be the same. He lost the use of his fingers, his career destroyed. His father-in-law fired him. His body broken, his reputation ruined. He would never play golf again, never take anything for granted again. Choices have consequences. When Sarah and I finally sat down with Dr. Doris Winters for our first counseling session, I had no expectations. "Johnny, Sarah and I met earlier this week," Dr. Winters said. "She told me everything. I explained how these sessions work. Thank you for coming and trying. This is a space where you can speak openly. What's said here stays here." I nodded, waiting to see where this would go. "Sarah, tell Johnny what you hope to get from these sessions," she prompted. And so it began. Sarah turned to me, eyes filled with tears. "Johnny, there's so much I want to say. I want to bring our family back together. I want to love you again. I want us to find a way back." Her voice was raw, but I stayed indifferent. She wiped her eyes with a trembling hand, clutching a tissue. Dr. Winters shifted her gaze to me. "Mr. Parks, what do you hope to gain from these sessions?" Leaning back, I crossed my arms. I want to get the number 500 out of my head. If I can do that, maybe we can move forward. Sarah flinched. Dr. Winters frowned. What does that number mean? I scoffed. Doris, can I call you Doris? She smiled politely. Let's stick with Dr. Winters. All right, Dr. Winters, I said, my tone laced with sarcasm. You already had a session with Sarah. I assume she would have mentioned it. I turned to Sarah. Or did you forget to bring up that little detail? She swallowed hard, avoiding my eyes. Dr. Winters cleared her throat. Mr. Parks, I understand your pain, but accusations won't help. Can you explain what 500 means? I exhaled sharply, rubbing my temples. I'm an accountant. Numbers don't lie. They don't twist reality to fit emotions. And what my wife neglected to mention is that in the last 3 years, she slept with William Aston over 500 times. Dr. Winters remained composed, but Sarah visibly recoiled. That number haunts me, I continued, my voice cracking. Every time I see her, every time she speaks, it's all I can think about. The woman I devoted my life to was with another man 500 times behind my back. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Silence settled over the room. Dr. Winters finally spoke, her tone calm but firm. Mr. Parks, I understand your pain, but we need to communicate without hostility. I took a deep breath. I apologize, but I had to say it. I needed her to understand. Sarah wiped her face and whispered again, I'm sorry. For the first time, some of my anger ebbed, not gone, but lighter. Dr. Winters nodded. Thank you for your honesty. Now, what do you truly want from these sessions? I hesitated before answering. I want to live in this house without hatred, for Angel's sake. She doesn't deserve to suffer because of her mother's choices. I just want peace. That's a good place to start, Dr. Winters said. The weeks that followed weren't easy, but counseling helped. I kept my interactions with Sarah polite. Angel noticed the change. She started spending more time at home, and we did more things as a family. Outwardly, we seemed normal, but there was no closeness, no kisses, no touches. Friends noticed and questioned Sarah, wondering why we no longer seemed like a couple. Then came the news of William's attack. Sarah went pale when she heard. That evening, she watched me closely, searching for a reaction. Johnny, someone broke into William's house. They hurt him. I barely looked up from my book. Wow, I said, a smirk tugging at my lips. That's something. She stiffened. That's all you have to say? I shut my book and met her gaze. Oh, I'm sorry your lover got hurt. Should I send him flowers? Maybe we should visit him, sweetheart? She looked away, ending the conversation. Sarah knew. She didn't have proof, but she knew I had something to do with it. And she also knew that if she showed concern for William, any progress we had made would vanish. A few days later, I got a text from Tony. A single thumbs-up emoji. That was our last contact for months. William's case went cold. The police never linked it to me. They filed it away and moved on. And just like that, William Aston, the man who had taken my wife, became a forgotten story. Time passed, and I started dating. Sarah tried to question me about it, but quickly realized she no longer had that right. Eventually, she accepted the truth. We were married in name only. We coexisted for Angel's sake, but that was all. On the surface, we looked like a family. But inside our home, it was cold, polite, empty. Sarah had no one. She had lost both men who once loved her. She had spent her life craving affection, hugs, kisses, warmth. But now she had none of it. She went to work. She went through the motions. She existed, but she wasn't really living. The hardest part was knowing Johnny had moved on, happy, in love with someone else, and that made everything worse. Therapy helped her cope, but she walked this path alone. Johnny would never truly forgive her. She had done this to herself. Her vanity, selfishness, and recklessness had destroyed the man who once loved her. Even Angel, though she loved her mother, never fully forgave her. Whenever Sarah complained about me, Angel cut her off. Mom, you did this. Dad loved you and you broke him. You made your choice. Angel had seen the damage firsthand. She never forgot it. Meanwhile, William's life unraveled. His wife left him. He lost his job. He lived in a small apartment, barely getting by. He sacrificed nearly everything in the divorce. His house, his assets, his stability. His once steady hands were now useless. Depression swallowed him. Ironically, both women he had cared about were gone. He had nothing. Just as promised, he was alone. His injuries were a permanent reminder of his choices. Every time he looked at his hands, what remained of them, he thought of Sarah. 1 year after his divorce, William stepped in front of a truck. A witness said he didn't even try to move. The report called it an accident, but those who knew him understood the truth. Sarah understood, and for the first time she considered ending her own life too. She and William had never spoken again, but in the end, both lived in the hell they had created. The day Angel left for college, I came home and handed Sarah divorce papers. She didn't fight, didn't argue, she just signed. I had considered destroying her financially, but decided against it. We split everything evenly. Over time, I had learned to forgive her. But love was long gone. The woman I had once adored had died with every lie, every betrayal, every stolen moment in another man's arms. And yet, as I watched her sign, a dull ache remained. Sarah, once full of life, now looked hollow. The woman who had once been my world was now just a shell. For years, I had wanted revenge, to make her feel even a fraction of the pain she inflicted on me. But I never had to. She had already destroyed herself. As I walked out for the last time, I felt no victory, no satisfaction, only regret. But no matter how much I tried, I could never erase the number 500 from my mind. We sold the house and split the money. I didn't fight for more than I was owed. I just wanted out. Sarah stayed in town, clinging to the remnants of her past. I packed my things and left without looking back. I moved in with Trisha, a dancer 15 years younger than me. At first, it wasn't about love. It was about escape, about fun, about making up for lost time. While I had been the faithful husband, Sarah had been anything but. Trisha was wild, carefree, exactly what I needed. But over time, things changed. I found my confidence again, my happiness. And in Trisha, I found something unexpected, a woman I could truly love. Sarah, however, never stopped hoping. She convinced herself that one day I'd come back to her, that in time I would forgive her. But when she learned I had married Trisha, something inside her shattered. For weeks she spiraled, crying herself to sleep, unable to accept the truth. Johnny Parks had moved on for good. She could never forgive herself, never escape the damage she had caused. She dated, searching for something to fill the void, but love never came again. Years passed. Her looks faded, her sparkle dimmed, and she put on weight. She became a lonely, depressed shadow of the woman she had once been. Angel remained close to her, but Sarah never heard from me again. Not once. I had erased her from my life, the same way she erased me when she stepped into William's arms. She never again felt the love she once had. She spent the rest of her days carrying the weight of her choices, knowing she had thrown away something rare and beautiful. Meanwhile, I made sure Angel's future was secure. Her college was fully paid. She thrived, eventually becoming a psychologist, perhaps driven by a need to understand the destruction betrayal leaves behind. She married a doctor, built a happy home, and raised 5 children in a family filled with love, loyalty, and trust, the very things that had been broken in our own. She remained the bridge between Sarah and me, but Sarah would live the rest of her life knowing she had broken something that could never be repaired, and that was the greatest punishment of all.